Welcome to the Mindful You podcast, brought to you by the Mindful University Project at the University of Rochester. Our mission is to cultivate presence, compassion, and well-being by integrating mindfulness and contemplative practices into campus life.
We offer practices such as yoga, meditation, retreats, trainings, and other initiatives to support students, faculty, and staff.
Through this podcast, we share mindfulness journeys and insights on how being present can support mental health, focus, and resilience. Thank you for joining us. Let's explore how mindfulness can transform our lives together. Hi everybody, my name is Rishika, and this is the third episode of the Mindful You podcast. Today we have an exciting guest, who is a member of our committee, Lilin. Lilin is going to graduate in a couple of weeks with a master's in clinical mental health counseling. And she's been working as a graduate assistant with the Mindfulness Project. And I thought it would be interesting for her to share her experience and thoughts about how it was to be a graduate assistant and just her perspective on mindfulness. She's originally from China, but she grew up in Canada. And she completed her undergraduate degree in mind-body medicine from NYU, and then also has another master's in bioethics. She's also a trained tarot card reader and a yoga teacher. So she has a lot of different cool experience, and I'm really excited for you guys to meet her. Welcome to the podcast, Lilin.
Oh, hi, welcome. Thank you, Rishika, for this wonderful introduction. Super excited to be on the channel and then share a little bit about my journey with mindfulness. And maybe potentially open up for more people joining in the podcast and sharing their experiences as well. So and thank you for having me today.
So I guess a good question to start with is where did your mindfulness journey begin and how did you get into it?
Sure. So my mindfulness journey actually I guess officially start during COVID when everything was shut down, and I went actually moved overseas to settle in the city that I'm really strange to. So that was a very difficult time for me until I started to see have my own therapist, and then also found this mindfulness training program. It's an online program in Shanghai that offers like a 10-week curriculum which walks me through a lot of like very meaningful mindfulness concepts, and requires me to do meditations every day, and kind of like the program also wraps up with a retreat. So that was my official contact with mindfulness, and kind of intensive. I also had to take a test to prove that I passed the curriculum. That was actually, it helped me a lot in terms of like how I view the world differently. After learning about different mindfulness concepts, I started to recognize, like the trees actually look a little bit different, and how I'm appreciating this blade of grass on the ground. So it really, I think it really plays a very pivotal role in my own mental health improvement. Back in the days during COVID, and now I'm just kind of really appreciating how mindfulness has improved my life so far.
That's very cool. So started back in COVID, so that's about like 5 years ago, I guess. So I assume that was sort of after you finished your degree.
I finished my first master degree. It's kind of depressed. A lot of stress, and also just how the world has hit a pause button. Really lost. I guess I kind of like got into, I didn't know mindfulness exists. But before, like my family's always like into those like religious practices. Like my dad is a Buddhist, so like he usually invites me to sit and meditate with him. And that was like the first kind of like meditation experience I had when I was little.
That's very interesting. I think that also helps as well with how you take on the mindfulness concepts and what like drew you to it because you already have a background in
Yeah.
Buddhism and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any like similarities between Buddhism and mindfulness?
Oh yeah, I think definitely. I think a lot of mindfulness concepts come from Zen Buddhism, which is
Okay.
a branch of Buddhism. Not really exactly what my family practiced, but it's definitely I see a lot of common roots, especially the acceptance, compassion part of things. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you when you had just started your mindful practice? Like, was it difficult, or did you find it quite natural, or?
Yeah,
You know?
I think, initially I fell asleep every
Yeah.
time when I was asked to. I think I have no problem with like integrating the concepts of mindfulness, like the beginner's mind or like acceptance. But when it really comes to meditation, I actually started by falling asleep every time I listened to those tracks.
Okay.
And I realized how tired my body is. I actually
Yeah.
brought up to one of my teachers who taught me mindfulness, and she's like, well, that maybe just means that your body is tired.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I guess like you set out this time for yourself, and then it's the first time when you realize like, oh, actually, like I just need a rest and I need
Exactly.
to,
Yeah. And I had a lot of insomnia because of my depression and anxiety. So actually falling asleep was pretty good
Really
for me.
helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah, and mindfulness helped you said, with your mental health and just changing your perspective about, you said like the trees and just your environment around you.
Right.
What else do you think like contributed to, like what do you think it was specifically like contributed to your mental health improvement? Like, do you think it was just your change in perspective, or were there other things that helped you improve your health, do you think?
Like in terms of mindfulness?
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe also finding the intersection that mindfulness helped me feel grounded and stay in the present, and also noticing that there's a lot of things I cannot control in life, and recognizing how maybe taking each breath is the only thing I can control. But it's so paradoxical that once you start to gain control of your breathing, even during difficult situations, then maybe that control can expand a little, and maybe you can change the situation or walk a different path. Yeah.
That is very interesting. Yeah, people don't really see the significance of it's just breathing in and out, and then like you just suddenly have so much more awareness of yourself and how you're reacting to situations. And that is definitely like the first step to helping gain some more autonomy in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's very cool. So what does your mindfulness practice look like today? Like, what do you do day to day, or how do you keep in touch with it?
Yeah, well, I think, especially during this time of the year, it's very busy for me. So I don't think I used to meditate like 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But then now I just kind of, yesterday I actually meditated 30 minutes a day. But now I do movements. I do yoga in the morning. So just to take a couple stretches and feel deep breath on the mat before I open my day really helps. And I actually like to practice Ashtanga, which is like a set series of sequence in yoga, and breath work is such an important part of that practice. So I just I use that as part of my mindfulness, and I think after practicing, it usually opens up my perspective. I feel like, okay, now I can stand up taller, open my shoulders wide, and just be receptive to everything that's happening.
That's very interesting. And I think also, like, there's just research that's shown that even improving your posture, which yoga does, and any sort of exercise, that can already automatically improve your mood, because if you're sad or something, generally you associate a sad person with like a hunched posture, or like an angry person with like a tenseness, and so already when you release that, kind of, that helps as well.
And I think that mindfulness can really expand to being in the present moment too. So if it extends to that, then I think even seeing clients and being hyper focused with every client and every moment we have in session is a mindfulness practice for me. I'm able to like just sense, heighten my awareness of what's going on with the person, what's going on inside of me. That is itself a meditation experience for me.
So it's almost like a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like a lifestyle.
Just the way you approach your life. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I wanted to ask as well, like because you're a counselor, well now you're graduating and you're closer to becoming a licensed counselor. How do you think it helps in the counseling setting?
I definitely think that mindfulness is such a central part of counseling. A lot of approaches I learned in school are, as for example, some approaches like emotion-focused therapy developed by Leslie Greenberg, and then the IFS, so internal family system. All really, a lot of different systems. Well, especially maybe the one I liked, the experiential ones. They usually come to, using mindfulness as a tool. Even if they did not explicitly say that, they say, well, like pay attention to this, like pay attention to your body or what's going on right now. Like all of this are checking or like pulling the person from a future mindset or from a past mindset into the present. And I think especially I think Greenberg, emotion-focused therapy, like he explicitly mentioned how mindfulness is important, and a lot of times you need to offer like guided meditation for clients to experience and reprocess a lot of memories. So definitely very essential to practice.
That does make a lot of sense. And I think, like you said, like there's so many therapy methods that use mindfulness without giving the label. It's just part of, it's sort of, you can see it in different health systems, which kind of shows that it is an important practice, even if it's not called mindfulness. But just being in the present, being more aware of yourself, that makes a lot of sense. Do you find that your clients receive it well? Like, or do you often introduce it to them as a mindful practice, or do you just embed it in your session?
Well, sometimes I embed it. Sometimes it depends on, if they have experience with mindfulness or not. I think that if they are receptive to the concept of mindfulness, I'll say, since you heard about mindfulness, like this is something that we can experiment and practice. But sometimes, when they're, especially in like a crisis situation, like it wouldn't make sense to say, let me introduce mindfulness to you, but more of like, let's pay attention to what's happening now and let's deal with the situation. So there's no time wasted introducing mindfulness, but more of just like, let's get to work, that kind of thing. And I think that in general, I think there's recently I come across a neuroscience study that shows how counselors with more of a mindfulness background actually shows better like interbrain synchrony with the clients, which is a cool thing. So I think that makes sense in terms of like how if you are hyper focused or you're really paying attention to the clients, then like you're definitely gonna resonate better with them.
Of course. That is, I think it is so important. I feel like all counselors should get that in their training of how to be mindful, and just it's also just really good practices to have for self-care when you're seeing so many clients a day, and then to impart on your clients as well. Do you think there are any, like, because you worked in as a graduate assistant and you worked with a lot of students, what do you think are common misconceptions of mindfulness?
Definitely. I think that even in our cohort, people still, and the students I serve on campus, I realize that people still kind of carry that, people all know mindfulness now, but sometimes people confuse it with something like it's another to-do list in their busy life, such as, I have to take out 10 minutes to do meditation or do yoga or journal. So it's something that's like an add-on. But like I think I would propose that mindfulness is actually take off, like instead of adding on to stuff, like it is a way that even taking a few breaths, because like you're not gonna survive without taking any breath, but taking a few breaths and cleansing your mind and letting go of some thoughts that keep running around. That's doing a minus instead of adding addition. So and I think there's maybe more awareness should be focused on, well, how do we cultivate or integrate mindfulness into our daily lives, instead of doing more, but how can we use mindfulness to experience the less is more. If that makes sense.
It is like another paradox, I guess, because technically it is a addition or another thing that you have to do, but then it does make you feel better, or it helps you become more focused on other activities. But at the same time, I think maybe in the beginning it's like a little harder because it does feel a lot more like you're investing a lot more time, but then after some time it just comes naturally and becomes more of like a lifestyle, as you were saying, or it just gets, you notice things and how it shows up in different parts of your life. But I think it's really hard to sort of sell that to students, I guess.
Of course, well, it's ongoing, so I think it's when people remember the feelings more than something that's being taught to them through words. So really incorporating more activities or events that integrate those ideas could be cool.
That does make a lot of sense. When you started off the position, like what were your hopes for like the mindfulness project at U of R and as a graduate assistant?
I think that I kind of started the job bringing this idea to integrate mindfulness into a lifestyle when I first started. So I kind of I did some mindful eating curriculum and did a mindful eating pop-up event. And I couldn't think of anything right now, but just really anytime I go into a workshop, I would talk about how try to clarify this misconception and try to invite people just to pay attention to what's happening.
Exactly, and do active practices. I think mindful eating is also great because people enjoy the food, and then it's also just a good way to introduce the concept. Or just sometimes when flowers are blooming right now, so even just taking a second to smell the flower. Take a pause and smell the flower when you pass by them. No, it does make such a big difference. I think even what I notice is that when it's cold outside, or when it's like the peak of winter and you just don't want to go outside and it's just terrible, but then when you kind of in that, when you have the perspective of mindfulness, it's also just, you can look at it in more of a curious light, or you can see like, oh, like look at the snow, like look at how different it looks outside, or what are the animals doing, or it does help to, I don't want to say cope, but it does help to just get through tougher times. Have you noticed any differences in your life currently, like after 5 years of practicing? Do you think there's been like any other things that have happened compared to like when you first started?
I think that I definitely have like more awareness of what's happening in my own body. Like I will feel more like I'm more sensitive to internally how I'm feeling inside, and by catching that, I will be able to regulate my behaviors. I still get mad sometimes, I still get sad sometimes, I still have negative emotions, but to recognize that they don't like override, or they don't become a whole my whole being is really important. That I can recognize, okay, I am feeling this way. Coming in with acceptance and awareness is something that really helped me over these 5 years. And I also like, I think that now in my practice, when I really tune into what's happening in my body, I'm able to actually use that as a guide to my clients. Like, for example, oh, hey, like I'm feeling when you're talking about the story to me, I'm feeling a heaviness in my chest.
Yeah.
I wonder if you feel the same too.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll be like, oh, that's right, like I am feeling this heaviness in my chest. So through me as a channel, I could tell them, wow, this is something that's happening, so let's pay attention to it.
Yeah. That's very cool. So there's almost even like a deeper connection with your clients, and with yourself as well. And I think I was talking about this with Ryan on how like cultivating a deeper connection with yourself helps you just to grow with other people more and show up better in your relationships and your friendships. Yeah, that is very cool. What would your recommendation be for somebody just starting off a mindfulness practice?
Yeah, I would say start small because you know, when people, there's like a honeymoon phase of mindfulness that like once you start practicing, you're like, oh my god, it's so great, so I want to like practice a lot more every day. But usually it wouldn't be that sustainable. Sometimes you know, if you actually start too much with a too ambitious goal, there may be a little shame or like disappointment with yourself when you wouldn't be able to keep that. So I will say just, you know, start small, set goals. Not saying not set goals, but just sometimes just taking a deep breath, and that's it for the first day. And then second day, just, you know, taking 2 breaths and one step at a time. And even when things get busy, like there's no way of like judging, you know, don't judge yourself, like, because acceptance is also part of mindfulness. So coming into a mindset of play instead of I need to do things, or I need to finish this or make this goal, but you know, it's about play.
Definitely. Like being curious about it and non-judgmental and being patient with yourself, I think. That all makes sense. Do you have any resources or, you know, anything you think is a good place to start off?
I think that I use Insight Timer these days, which is a really cool app that has so many really good quality soundtracks meditation wise. I use that to sleep. So there's a lot of awesome yoga nidra tracks. There's also I think there's a blogger called Sarah Blondin, which is my favorite meditation person. So she's on Insight Timer, so she has beautiful voice. I like listening to her podcasts and meditation tracks as well. You know, because I'm, I guess, working in this field, self-care is really important. So I also do a self-care app. It's called Finch. So basically it's like a digital pet, Tamagotchi. I think that is something that when people used to have, but it's something that like if you do a self-care activity, you're gonna feed the pet and then bring the pet to different places and travel and get goodies. So it's like a really cute app that like reminds me to, okay, well, it's time to drink water. Time to take care of myself, drink tea. So
that's a really that's a fun way to keep up with it.
And there's also community too, like you can add your friends, so you can, you know, you have a community of people who practice self-care with you, which is keep you accountable and stuff.
Exactly. That's so cool. I hadn't heard of the app Finch, so that's a good one. Kind of shifting the conversation, but I know you do tarot card reading. And I was curious to know more about like whether you think that's related to mindfulness or you know, what got you into it.
So interestingly, I worked as a tarot card counselor professionally full time for like 6 months. That was during COVID, and you know, I just kind of graduated from school with a bioethics degree, and I didn't have any counseling experience or credentials back then. But then, I'm always interested in tarot card, even when I was like a small kid.
Yeah.
And I just, came across this training program that, trains people to be professional tarot readers. So I was like, okay, I'll give it that a try.
Yeah.
I did pretty well in the course, and the teachers are like, why don't you stay and work for us for a little bit? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I worked there in the institution and give readings to people. And from all over the place. I think in China, so I was in China during that time in COVID. People, it's kind of like how feng shui is accepted here. But in China, it's like anything that's exotic, and it's more acceptable in locals. So Chinese people say, oh, like tarot card is so exotic, like I want to try. So people are very like hyped about it. So I get to work with a lot of clients, and I started to notice some of my clients start to come back. It's not like just a one-time thing. And those are the clients that usually have a lot of a strong hold onto something that they're not willing to let go of, or people who are usually very anxious, really try to have a strong hold of what's going to happen ahead. And a lot of times I think when people want to get a fortune telling or receive some kind of fortune telling service, it's because they're anxious about something. They want to know, am I walking in the right direction, or is this something right for me? And having a person who's willing to listen and also point to, even just using some vague language. Like I wouldn't say, tarot reading is a scam. I would say tarot reading is actually pretty accurate in terms of like the cards you get. It really reflects on like how you're feeling at the moment. And that's like when I realized, hey, like if people are getting different cards, because those like repetitive clients who come back, like sometimes they come back with the same question. But it really changes when their way of thinking or their mentality starts to change. And their future starts changing too on the cards. So I'm just like, wow, that's really interesting.
That is so interesting.
Because now when you're drawing the card, it's about, the card is able to tell how you're feeling in the present. But the card is also a game or a way of tool showing you whether you are right now walking towards the right direction. So kind of the card maybe is trying to tell me that, or tell the clients that, it all depends on the present. How do you look at these things? How do you feel about it? Anything that's hindering or motivating you, and looking at that from a holistic perspective, not just, a lot of times we stay in our head, but with tarot card reading, you're able to see images or have intuitions that come to you, and the feelings that let you know, oh, actually there's also that piece of information I forgot. Why don't I look at that perspective and being able to move forward with that.
That's very fascinating. I think I totally agree from my experience with tarot cards as well, that it's such a great reflection of what you're feeling in the moment. But I think what you said was very interesting, that it makes you realize that you can always change your path, or you don't have to think too much about the past. It's more about like, how are you feeling in this present moment, and then if you feel like you're not on the right path, then you can always change it by changing your perspective. Which is so connected to mindfulness, because mindfulness helps you change your perspective, or helps you just slow down so you can look at your decisions more logically, I guess. Do you draw cards for yourself?
I used to when I first started working there, and so like in the honeymoon phase with tarot reading, I don't do anymore because I realize how it's so dependent on the present. So now I just kind of like, I'm be able to, without the cards help, well, I think card is more of a tool helping me to realize how am I feeling right now. Yeah, so I do more meditation or being present with myself. I think works better, and also it kind of makes me more. I think it's also my trust in this world is growing too, because I trust how whatever that comes to me is something that I need to learn, need to happen, and yeah, I just don't want to kind of open the surprise too early. And even if it doesn't mean that this if I can see the future, doesn't mean that it's not going to change. So it's just like I wanted to have surprise and wanted to move forward with my life in a more, I guess, like freer way.
I think I feel like a lot of people think tarot cards are for telling your future or but then like you said, like it can change depending on how you're feeling in that moment, and
of course
you can get to that from many different angles. It doesn't have to be through the cards, but it helps sometimes to have that tangible kind of card telling you that okay, like this is what's happening or whatever.
And I think sometimes when people are like, I wanted to know my future because this is really important for me, or I'm not sure if I'm gonna fail this test, I would say things like that. If you know the result, if you see the result it looks bad on the cards, then you can do anything, you can do things to fix it. It's not like it's set in stone or something. So
Okay, I'm sorry, somebody knocked on the door, so we had to pause the video.
Oh, we're back.
So we were talking about tarot cards. Do you recommend students to explore tarot cards, or?
I think, well, I will think that if you're curious about it, not, against it, try it out. We have people on our campus sometimes offer tarot card reading, like Sean Watson. And like it's a fun way to explore about, use as a tool only to explore your inner self, but don't fall to let it dominate your life. Let it dominate how you think about things or how you worry about things. So it's more than just, after all, tarot cards started as a game initially when it first came out. So it's a game overall. So just take
That's
it.
Funny.
It's a cool game though. Like it's very accurate.
Like game of life.
And especially in the design of it, it's like it has 22 major cards, which represents the cycle of life. And a lot of times, it kind of so it's a cool. It comes from a very cool history. So if you're not, if you're curious about it, definitely go try it out. But only as a game and a tool to help you.
I also recommend it, guys. I think it's very cool. But it's interesting because I think people have varying perspectives, or they think that tarot cards have to be the ultimate truth, and if it's not the ultimate truth, then why look at it at all, or something, or if it's not scientific, or but I think it's important to just be open, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but be open to things and see what you get.
But I think that why I dropped that job and become a counselor is that doing tarot reading can only get people to a certain place. Like you'll know what your issue is or what you're struggling with, but that's it can't be fixed without going into counseling and bravely facing yourself in a counseling session. So that's why I think counseling is more important than getting a tarot reading.
Oh, okay. I agree. But very cool. So just a couple of more questions. Do you, like, now that you've been practicing for this long, like, what do you think, how do you feel like you're going to deepen your practice, or where do you think you're going next with your mindfulness journey?
I think Yeah, I think I will, if I have more time now after I graduate, I'll definitely again do more yoga, and also allow, at least 30, going back 30 minutes per day. Yeah, to meditate. And try to, when I'm really tired, which I think I'm already doing that already, but like when I'm really tired or just don't have time during the day, I eat mindfully to recharge myself. So even if I just have 10 minutes to eat, I will take that 10 minutes, put away the phones, and just focus on eating. And I will, mindfully walk when it's not that cold outside, even if I just have 5 minutes. Yeah.
I think that's so important. It's just about taking some time out for yourself, basically, where you just can focus and be present, and you can do that in any form. Eating, walking.
And sometimes, when there is a, huge, or someone, a very famous Buddhist monk, when they come to visit where I'm at, I'll go. And I'll see, if they have any wisdom to share. Sometimes it just only takes one word or takes one sentence for you to realize, oh, this is what I'm missing. So I think that's like really important as well. Just keeping an open mind to who's coming here, like who's visiting, saying the community and things like that.
That makes sense. Always looking for wisdom and inspiration to keep you going and help you feel connected. And I think that's also nice about the apps, like having the community setting as well, and just being in touch with people who are on the same path or facing the same challenges.
Right.
Do you have anything you want to leave with our audience before we end? Any final advice or tips?
Sure. I think that, I think when we're talking about this, I thought about an experience I had. So I went to a month-long Buddhist retreat before I come back to North America after COVID. And it was actually during that retreat I decided to become vegetarian for a while. Not anymore, but during that time I remember how this this monk who's teaching us throughout the whole month, like he would say something like, because he's from the Tibetan tradition. And in the Tibetan tradition, when you follow a guru, you only follow that one person, and you pay all your worship to them, and also like follow their teachings, and so it's but he says something different. He's like, I am your teacher, but I am also open to that you gain other wisdoms from other teachers. And he used that as an analogy of like a tower. You're building a tower of the golden blocks. So every time you learn something from a new teacher or a new experience, you receive a golden block to build your tower. And sometimes you need golden blocks from many different experiences and people in life to help you build a tower that's uniquely for you. So don't be afraid to reach out to other teachers or to experience life, to interact with different people, and expanding your perspective. After all, it's all going to build your golden tower in your life. So I found that really enlightening, especially with how much acceptance and how much just open-mindedness that goes into his teaching. And I kind of still remember this day. So now every time I went to a conference, and when I went to a workshop, I'm thinking about, okay, what kind of golden block I'm receiving today? And how can I use that to build my own tower?
That's really inspiring, and I think that speaks to how important diversity is as well, and just getting different people's perspectives or different people learning about different people's experiences. yeah, and I think that really helps because a lot of people think of mindfulness or meditation as, oh, that's something that a monk does, and very exclusive to this certain population, and they follow a guru, and but it's not really that. You can learn things from so many different leaders, even if they're not technically a monk or Buddhist or whatever.
So it's I would say approach the world with curiosity and loving awareness. It's something I want to do.
That's a kind and great message to end our podcast with. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed episode 3. And if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, please let us know. We're always happy to learn about people's experiences. Hope you have a nice day. Bye.